Give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
Hi, welcome back to the SUMELEVATE podcast. I have Jorge here with me. What's good, dog?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I've seen you posting a lot on Facebook about your health and your transformation journey and kind of leaving people inspired and all your quotes and your see you always with the green juice. I miss that, you know. I need to get me some green juice because it's hard to find green juice up in India. Actually, I don't know why, but like I'm in the motherland now and I'm trying to find me some green juice, but I guess you just got to make it yourself sometimes. So let's just get started. So how did you start your kind of like your journey, your self-development journey? Where did it all begin for you?
Oh man, I was born for this shit. No. Seriousness, it all started with funny enough, it started after I started smoking weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I became more aware. I became more open to ideas. I was very into once I started smoking weed, I became interested in like spiritualism and enlightenment and like being more aware.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was in sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
And then kept smoking, and then senior year came in. My sister recommended me taking this course. It was called Man's Search for Meaning, and that's where it was all about basically
Viktor Frankl. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I have that book around here somewhere, dog. Like, for real. That's weird you said that. Yeah.
It's a great book.
It is a great book, yeah. So that's where it all began for you?
That's where it all began.
Yeah.
And then, to go more in depth, it all began is, I got to college.
Yeah.
And then, I never really had a girlfriend, man.
Yeah.
So my only girlfriend was in 8th grade, and dude, I was forced into it, man. Like I liked that girl, and she liked me, but I never like did anything about it. So like my friends, like 5 or 6 of them, and then her friends, like 5 or 6 of them. Yeah. They put us together and they made a circle around us. So like
Duck Goose.
Basically an ambush.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of forced to like asking her out, you know, like.
Yeah.
But it felt fake because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
With my own intent.
Right. You weren't like
anyway,
proactive about it. You were just like put into this position where you were like forced to. That's like my culture, bro. Like arranged marriage, but for you it was like it was like your friends did it. Word. Man.
Yeah, I ended up breaking up with her and everything, and like, dude, her friends, they were big, they were taller than me.
Yeah.
They threw me in the trash can.
Really?
They threw me in the trash can. Yeah,
That's so.
Yeah, I get it though.
Yeah. That's
like
a
friend, but anyway.
Do you think that moment where you were thrown in the trash can, that was like a pivotal moment for you?
That was like, dude, like, be careful with women, you know, like.
Yeah.
This shit could happen. You could trash can. But I'm going back to college. I mean, fast forwarding to college. That's where all throughout high school, I was very antisocial. Like, I was super shy, super quiet. Couldn't even ask the waitress for some water. Like, Julian talks about. I broke out of my shell. I was like, whoa, there's so many people, like, from so many places. I want to talk. I want to, like, do it. And I had a lot of fear. So, like, it took me a while to, like, push through. But once I did it felt so good. But I came across this girl that was in my class. Her name was Karen. And, dude, she kind of liked me. So I'm like, okay, let me go for that girl, you know. And then I did everything for her, bro. Like, I would, like, go hang out with her, and like I would buy her.
Yeah.
And then Valentine's Day came in, and I bought her roses. I never buy anybody roses and chocolate, dude. I bought her roses and chocolate.
That's like the stereotypical like Valentine's gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this girl, she was between her and she was between me and some other guy, and the other guy was like the typical like that. And then she ended up choosing him over me, man.
Yeah.
That really hurt me. I was like, no, like I put in all this work, like what the.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Shit, I can't depend on like this one girl. I'm gonna learn how to talk to people, how to have communication skills.
Yeah.
And I eventually came across a website called girlstaste.com. And that's where it all began. How to pick up girls, how to become more attractive, how to get girls to date.
Yeah.
And that's where my personal development really
Yeah. I mean, I kind of that's funny you say that. Like, I kind of started along the same journey where I was kind of finding it very awkward to socialize with people, and like I got to this level where like I asked this girl to prom and she was like, I don't know you well enough. Then from there, I guess it's just like after I got into like learning more about myself, I think that's when it really started to kick off, because I think so what I wanted to talk about in this podcast was authenticity, and like how both of us like really got into ourselves and like who we truly were, our higher self. So like for me, I started out in theater, and like I would just like pretend to be someone that I'm not on stage, and I felt so much more free. I felt like I could kind of be like an extroverted, more open person, and I kind of like that feeling of like people looking at me. And so from there, I decided that I would make that inner transformation with myself, kind of fake it till you make it approach, and that kind of pushed me. That's the kind of beginning. That was the pinnacle moment for me. So that's interesting. We both have kind of similar stories. So I see you posting a lot like about authenticity and how it's okay to feel that you are being yourself, and you have this thing called blissbomb. So explain like your brand a little bit, like how you kind of got into this, like the sharing. Yeah.
Funny enough, bliss bombs, I actually stole that from Julian Blanc.
Yeah.
I used to name them truth bombs, but then I was like, dude, he threw in one of his latest videos. He throws in the word bliss bomb.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna steal that. But anyway, how it all started, it's just like for a couple of years, like once I got to college, I started posting more. Like, began to dive deep, like the meaning of life and everything. I even took this class called Psych and Religion, and it's all about existentialism and being. So I began to go deep, and I was trying to like reach people. I was trying to reach people on Facebook, like just like throwing some like epiphanies that I came across. Yeah. And I realized that I was basically, this is how I see it. I was basically like it's like taking a dog on a walk. I was dragging the dog. I was dragging people instead of like leading them, like showing them like, hey, you right there, I got you. Let's go this way. Like I know this place is better. Like let's go. Like, you don't want to come? I'll come. Stuff like that. And that's what I've been doing now. It's like meeting people right where they are, where they are. It's way more free, and people actually want to come. People actually want to come now. It's pretty cool. And like slowly, I'm still learning, but yeah, I love the truth.
Yeah, it's all part of the journey, like to unfold these layers, And so, what are kind of your short-term and your long-term goals right now for yourself?
My short-term goals is to basically just get started, like keep the ball rolling. Yeah. When it comes to creating more content, more reach. Like I've been slacking up especially social media. I haven't been focusing on Instagram or YouTube. Like I have a YouTube channel, and I was like shooting that
Yeah.
I even made a couple of videos that I haven't even uploaded. Like, they're even like 2-3 months old, and like that's a lot of like, you know, and it's all here, you know, self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Why? Removing all that so that way I can realize my self-esteem.
Yeah.
It's right there. There's so much in the way.
Yeah. And that's great. And so, what about your long-term goals? Yeah.
Long-term, I would love to be able to just travel all over the world, and
yeah.
I would love to do seminars and
workshops and stuff.
Yeah, workshops, and also do some like online consulting, like private consulting.
Cool.
And also live.
Yeah.
Maybe like boot camp.
Yeah. That's cool. Maybe we can share one together, because I've started coaching, my coaching journey. I've kind of got quite a big range of clients right now, and people are saying good things like in the testimonials and stuff, so I'm kind of building it up from there. And right now I do have a YouTube channel, SUMELEVATE. Well, you're going to be featured on that right now, so yeah. And yeah, for real. And so yeah, basically kind of my goals are along the same lines. Like, I really want to do like seminars, travel globally, have a bigger outreach for my audience, and really find my own niche. And I'm still doing that. I kind of have this thing that I'm doing with positive psychology, because I just finished a course in London, and trying to combine that with theater and self-improvement, and as well as like kind of finding like all the things that I'm interested in and bringing it to one place, like humor, spirituality. Basically think that you have to use your strengths, right? Like whatever you're really good at, you need to kind of lean into that, and that's when truly like you find your own kind of potential, your light shining through, you know?
Wow. You're doing it, man. It's pretty cool how you're combining different things and you're connecting them. A lot of people probably don't even see the connection, so you're like, oh. I
love connections, dog. Like, yeah, it's all about like jigsaw pieces for me. Like, I just love seeing the bigger picture, you know? Like, once you see the grand like scheme of things in your own brain, like it unfolds itself in a funny way. Like today I saw, this is weird, but I really resonate with the tiger as an animal, and also I've been told by my personal shaman that she told me that my spirit animal is a dolphin, and my Instagram is called That Splash Life. And she didn't even know that, right? And I was like surprised as that it was the dolphin, because I'm a water sign as well, and so I was just like, wow, like that's incredible. And today I saw a dolphin like on the back of a car, and I saw a tiger, and I saw my lucky number 4 like on the back of every license plate like 3 times, like 444, and I kept seeing it, and I was like, yeah, I'm on the right path. Even if it's like, you know, it could be coincidence, it could be synchronicity, it could be whatever, but like in that moment, like I knew something was, yeah,
you're aware, bro. You're aware.
I like how you have permanent transformation on your introduction on your Facebook. Permanent transformation, so it's like a change that's like solid. It's kind of like a paradox, you know what I'm saying? And I like that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because like it's always changing, but it's also permanent. So it's like you're permanently changing.
I didn't even think of that, man.
Yeah, but that when I saw that, I was like, yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Have you done any kind of things? I know you're drinking green juices. Obviously, that's a thing that you're doing now. However, what about other aspects of health and fitness? How has that shaped you and pushed you?
Oh, dude. So I used to have a lot of acne, right?
Yeah.
So I did my research and everything. Definitely growing up, I was lactose intolerant, but I would still drink milk. I'll still like eat ice cream because I don't give a right. And then I will have a lot of like acne. I will still eat it. And I did my research, and apparently gluten was also connected to acne. So I'm like, okay, time to do my research. And yeah, eventually I was so fucking sick of my acne that I'm like, fuck, it's time to do something about it. So
yeah,
I had to quit dairy and gluten. And dude, my skin got way better, and that's what inspired me to eat more healthy.
Yeah.
Eat more healthy, like, because it allowed me to I would read the labels. Like now, I read the labels. Like, I realized that it's responsible for me to just read the labels. Like, I want to know what I'm putting into my body. Like, it's my body, so like I want to know what's going in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to like be very conscious of like what I'm eating, so I would read the labels, and then eventually like at first I was just looking at like whether it has gluten or whether it has dairy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, wait, what is this ingredient? Like, what the is that?
Yeah. It's like a weird chemical name. Yeah.
Yeah. So long story short, that's how I began to eat healthy.
That's interesting you say that. Like, for me, I had a lot of allergies, right, when I was younger. And I still do have a few allergies, but they're not as bad. And I've noticed from a similar standpoint, like, of course I get acne now, but that's because of my surge of testosterone. But, like, I think that basically my journey also began in a similar way, that my immune system was kind of weak at the time. And so I kind of, when I reached the point where I was getting sick all the time, and I noticed it was due to my environment, like the environmental toxins and like pollution and like the plastics and food and all of this stuff, like just affected me really negatively. And I was just like, this is not helping me at all. So I've tried every single diet fad there is. Like I've gone paleo, I've tried veganism, I've tried, I'm just like diet hopping, and then I kind of found out like what was right for me. Like I tried even the keto diet, and I noticed, also I got it's like you go through this awkward phase where you're like still trying to adapt to it, and so your body's saying, "Yo, like what the are you doing?" So after you get through a kind of a phase with that, like I started to feel more energy. Right now I'm kind of like not following any kind of diet, I guess. But I've kind of been through the health trends, or so-called trends, and I've noticed like a lot of it does come down to intuition and like balancing like the colors of foods, like to be able to see like that you have all your greens as well as like your macronutrients, micronutrients, all this stuff. Like, are you putting enough into your body that you need? Like, you don't have a deficiency in something, Yeah, I think that was really important. So you talk about self-esteem a lot. That's really interesting. So how would you define self-esteem according to your own definition, like how you perceive it or how you've kind of come about to understand it more?
Self-esteem, if I had to break it down, it's all about self-love. Like in it's all about self-worth. How you see yourself. How do you? Basically, it's like my interpretation of myself, my interpretation of my reality, of my experience. How do I interpret it? Do I interpret it like I'm good enough, or do I interpret it like I'm not good enough, or like do I need something? Do I not need something?
Yeah.
That I actually don't need. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a problem when you don't feel worthy, because then you're always trying to kind of compensate. And I feel like if you're not feeling that you're enough, like Julian says that a lot, like I am enough was one of his main mantras, I think, that really got me to understand that we are kind of already fulfilled beings. It's about like coming to terms with it. and it's like more of an unlayering process than an actually, and like reconditioning yourself, you know, rather than like I have to get this thing, I have to get better, because I kind of have been stuck in that standpoint where I've been improving a lot, and then after I get a goal, then you're like, what now? So kind of you have to have crazy dreams enough that will kind of take you through like all of these little milestones and like keep pushing you forward. So after you're done with like one little goal, you're kind of onto the next one. It's like this ongoing journey, which some people think is stressful, but I think it's a lot of fun. I just think that it's a process of exploring and enjoying yourself and like having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dylan talks about. It's what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's like you are already there, right? Like you are already there, so it's like playground. Like,
yeah.
Like it's not about the thing, but the place it's coming from.
Right. Yeah.
So your interpretation of it's different because you're coming from a different place. You're coming out of abundance, not scarcity.
Yeah.
So your interpretation of reality will be different of your experiences, of your actions.
Yeah. And I find myself constantly like reminding myself to get more into abundance, because a lot of the time that there are negative thought loops that come from being in scarcity. And if you've been in scarcity your whole life, you know what I'm talking about, Jorge. Like it's kind of like that feeling that you always are the victim, right? You're always blaming yourself with your words. And once you kind of say stop, like cut it out, and like start imagining, like the thing that I do is that I imagine whenever my inner voice starts to talk, I pretend that it's a cartoon character speaking to me. Like I pretend it's the most squeakiest, like Daffy Duck type voice that's speaking to me right now, that I don't even pay any attention to it. So sometimes, like that's one of my methods that I use in my coaching. Like I always tell my clients that whenever you have that negative voice in your head, like if you kind of change the pitch a little bit or you mess around with it and try and reinterpret it, sometimes it does wonders. And another interesting thing is judgment, like how we feel this need to constantly criticize or judge others. And I saw this quote that I posted from Ralph Smart, who's actually on this interview, which is awesome. Can't judge other people because the sun and the moon are two different things and they have their own time to shine. And I thought that was a great way to put it.
Slow motion this side.
Slow motion this side. Can I get a hello there? Think of Ralph, you just think of peace. And interestingly enough, that wasn't even his thing. Like, if you go back to his earlier videos, you'll hear him like talk about this, that he used to just go, yo, peace, how's it going? Like, he used to be like really like quick with it. But some lady told him, Ralph, I really want you to slow down and be conscious about that peace. And he actually listened to that advice, and he was just like, let me try that. Peace. And he was like, yo, I like that. Like, so I think that's so funny. Like, sometimes we're scared to take other people's comments and criticisms, and like, but when we do sometimes take it, it can really impact us. And even our own brand, I'm saying, like, Ralph was kind of, he dropped his own ego at that moment, and he was like, let me slow this down a little bit. What do you feel was kind of the biggest impact for you as you started this journey, besides the kind of like the main like traumatic obviously experiences? What was also kind of the main like switching points from you that really made you decide that this is really what you wanted to do?
For me, it was all about self-confidence.
Yeah.
I was trying to reach that self-confidence, man. It all started with when I got to college, man. I started talking to so many people to the point that I was becoming more comfortable just talking to people.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I was depending on socializing. I was depending, and then I became popular, right?
Yeah.
So I could depend. Yeah, I was the. I only had self-confidence if I was popular. So with that in mind, like nobody knew me, I didn't feel comfortable. Like, yeah, I used to have huge social anxiety, man. Like, I would go to like a cafeteria when nobody knew me,
Yeah.
and like, dude, I would be eating I'll be eating my cereal, whatever what I was eating, and like, dude, my hand was like trembling, dude, like
Yeah.
I had so much like social anxiety, I couldn't, man, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So it wasn't core self confidence, and then I began to learning pick up and like becoming more, like building up a process of like for like me getting in state.
Yeah.
Like approach the first say, like minimize time between interactions. I don't know if you heard about Tyler's 6 steps.
Yeah.
That's work, dude, but
Yeah.
I was on that. Like without that, I didn't have the self confidence.
Yeah.
So eventually, Julian, I was following him for years, and then he came up with this program, and I'm like, whoa, this could be actually it. This could be the thing that will allow me to be self confident.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% there yet, of course, but it's a journey, and I've been feeling lighter. I've been feeling better, and I'm like, whoa. So actually, I'm seeing the light. It's like, oh, it's possible.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting how you feel a difference in your body as well. Like after you do like certain like things, and after you really release all of that tension that you've been carrying around with you, it like does wonders for your self-confidence, because now you're like, I'm free to do whatever I want. You kind of have that sense of liberation.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of scary because it's like, ooh, I have so much freedom. What do I do with this freedom?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like,
it's also a lot of responsibility. Yeah.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of fun.
Definitely. So, I think that men in today's day and age have a difficulty in really expressing themselves emotionally and like really letting people know how they're feeling. And so, what do you think would be your first advice to people who are having a trouble to communicate, or is kind of in that opposition, like they're getting into conflicts with whoever they talk to? What are some things that they can do in order to really express themselves so that people understand them?
Well, there's the inner approach, and then there's the outer approach.
Yeah.
So the inner approach is just being okay, being more open to my own feelings, them being more okay with their own feelings.
Yeah.
And accepting them for what they are.
Yeah.
That's the inner approach, and it's a lot. It's like a tree. That's the roots.
Yeah.
And then for the actual tree,
it's like the foundation.
The outer approach is just catching yourself. Like, whoa. Like, it's like judging people. Like, am I judging people? Am I censoring myself? Am I blocking myself from like showing who I actually am? My feelings?
Yeah.
Like, just catch yourself. Like, how about I remind you, like, write that down in your arm, like.
Yeah.
What am I feeling? What am I feeling?
Yeah.
I never thought about that, actually, so thank you for bringing that into my awareness.
That's great,
What's your take, man?
So I think the first thing that men need to stop doing is like, they need to embrace the feelings more instead of kind of repressing or suppressing it. Because the more you stuff that down, it's gonna be like a bouncy ball in a swimming pool. It's gonna come up in really unhealthy ways. So basically, I think as as you are in this position where your emotions are getting way too uncomfortable, or you feel like you need to run away from it, it's just like sitting and being present with it is really important. Especially being the container for other people's space, so they can vent, or they can like really get angry, and like they can do whatever they want, but you can still keep your own composure. And I think having that core confidence does that as well, like as a man, and holding, like being that tree, you know, being so grounded that people can't phase you.
It's like, I know who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your opinion, bro. You know, like I know who I am. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have this mantra where I kind of say my own name, like I am, like my nickname is Sume, so I go, I'm Sume, I'm Sume, I'm Sume, I'm Sume. So I don't put on that fake like front over like I'm trying to be cool, or I'm trying to do something that, you know.
So good, man.
So I was actually saying that, and I saw CeeLo Green right after. Like, I said that mantra in my head. Like, I saw him walking down, like the boulevard. I was like, holy CeeLo Green. And I went and said hi, and I took a picture with him. And I was like, wait, like, that was weird. Like, as soon as I realigned to my authenticity, like, I just met, like, a celebrity, like, in my aura, right? That's crazy,
no.
Man. So
that's a beautiful reminder, man.
Yeah,
I'm a feel that, bro.
Definitely, it's so important, man. Like, I also have this thing where I look in the mirror and I say, like, you are my best friend, you are my best friend, you're my homie, you know, like, we're in this together. Like, even just looking at yourself, I got you, man. It's all good. Like, yeah. I think that gives you a sense of, like, first of all, it activates your presence, right? You're being present with yourself. And I guess it could get to the point of narcissism, as maybe sometimes some people take it too far. But really, I think the difference between narcissism and self-love is that, one, you're doing it so that other people can benefit from it as well. Like, you're lifting other people up with self-love. And with narcissism, it's just all about you. So you're like, everybody else. Yeah.
Oh, to make yourself feel better about yourself, basically?
Yeah.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah, man. And so I do a lot of work in creativity coaching, and I think, like, being in that flow state where you're just creating and nothing else matters is so important for me personally. That's how I create all my music, all my art. So I want to ask you, like, do you do any, like, creative hobbies, or do you have any, like, creative things that you do?
I like to skate.
Skate? Like skateboarding? Or
yeah, well, more cruising.
Cruising. Nice.
Just
dude.
like, you know.
And what does that do for you? Like, what does that activity do for you?
It puts me there. It's like, whoa, yeah. I'm here with the experience, as opposed to just thinking ahead or like thinking about the past or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just with me.
You're present with it.
And the road.
Yeah, it's just me and the road, baby. Yeah.
But also, one of my biggest hobbies is socializing, man. Just talking to people, meeting people, networking, giving value.
Yeah.
And dude, people just give you free. It's pretty cool. But
I think that's once you're so once you're so free in giving, you're receiving more. I think the law of karma really takes a hold of you sometimes, and it really plays forth to your advantage in those cases. You're right.
Even without having the intention of getting stuff, it's just like, I'm just giving, like, chilling, bro. I'm just giving, and then boom, you just get up on. You receive.
Yeah, and I think it's so important when we're completely in that scarcity, like where we've hit rock bottom. I think it's so important to remind ourselves to even give in those moments, because sometimes when we have less, we think that we don't have the privilege of giving to others. when we feel like we're lacking in some way. So it's kind of like filling up your own cup so that it overflows onto other people, not like kind of giving all of your water to everyone and then your cup is empty. I like that analogy. I don't know, I resonate with that one.
Yeah, I thought about that one, the same one, bro.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, nice.
That's a good one. So in terms of spirituality, like I know that you responded to my message about Kundalini, and that's really like that was the first instance where I kind of like knew like this guy's cool. So I had you on my podcast. In your own spiritual journey, what are some things that you've been doing to keep yourself kind of in alignment?
This is gonna sound funny, dude.
Yeah. I'm all about that.
I focus on the base of my spine, man. I focus specifically. It's my anus, dude.
Yeah.
Like, is it quenching? If it's quenching, I'm not being me, bro.
Yeah.
I realize that once I open up, it's like whoa. Chilling.
Yeah.
Like once you open, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah. It's like it's the same feeling that I get when I'm going up the roller coaster and then it goes down. Same feeling, bro. But just focusing on that, just being with myself and focusing on that.
Yeah.
And then like I also focus on like, oh, is there any tension? Like, do I feel like there's pressure?
Yeah.
Or does it feel light? Does it feel heavy or does it feel light?
Yeah.
If it feels light, it's me.
Yeah.
If it feels heavy, it's a lot of it's people pleasing. Like when it feels heavy, I'm trying to please people.
Yeah. And a lot of energy gets put into that. Like if you're putting on a mask, like I've noticed when I try and pretend in social scenarios, like I'm pretending to be nice to someone, I have to put on this fake like, hey, how's it going, and that takes up so much of your energy. And by the time that interaction is done, you're just like, get me to bed. Like I've also noticed that. So really just being honest with your feelings. If you're tired, saying you're tired. If you're hurt, like admitting that to yourself. So these things are so important to do as well. And I think in my own spiritual journey, I've kind of figured out my own pathways. I always like to take from different kinds of spiritual texts and kind of reinterpreting it, what they mean, and finding my own kind of message or like something that I can take from it. It's kind of like how Tyler like goes to like a $10,000 seminar, and he goes and takes like one little tidbit from it that he can use, because still he's in that learning mind frame. Like even that little bit is like improving the quality of his interactions.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, man, because I don't know if you follow Ty Lopez too.
Yeah.
But he talked about that, just like reading a book and he doesn't read it from
knowledge,
like cover to cover. Yeah, knowledge. Yeah, dude, he just like he opens it up like to something that interests him. Like if he just looks at the chapter, it's like, oh, that chapter looks interesting.
Yeah.
Opens it up, takes one golden nugget. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
Moves on.
That's so interesting. I might have to try that with some of my books.
Yeah, same.
It's also so important what we put into our subconscious brain at times. So I work personally with a lot of binaural beats and like sound technology. And my final thesis paper was also kind of based on that, how we can use music or sounds to heal. Sorry, my voice is doing a weird thing. Maybe my throat chakra is blocked.
Be real, bro. I like that.
I really want to know how can we get past any limiting beliefs that we have, and how can we get into our subconscious to stop them from happening over and over again? Like how can we stop that like negative pattern?
How I see it, it's all I do all day, every day. catch myself.
That's a reminder to the fans. Catch yourself.
It's like, if I don't want to feel something, I'm like, dude, feel that. It's feeling myself. Like, feel yourself, bro. Feel yourself.
What do you think is the distinction between someone who goes to the gym, lifts a little bit, starts complaining that he's in pain, as opposed to someone who's like, ooh, I kind of like this soreness. It's a reminder that I'm going to be a little bit more jacked. So what do you think is the thing that's happening there? And how can we lean more into one and not the other?
How I see it, it's either thinking short term or long term. There's two ways of going about life. That's how I see it. Short term pleasure, long term pain, or short term pain, long term pleasure. And like the analogy, the gym analogy that you use about, you know, building muscle. It's realizing that there are people that are already there. There are people that are already there, so it's kind of like having this blind faith. That, whoa, that's possible. I can get there. Right now, it doesn't feel good. And this person tells me, hey, there's this quote also that says, to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. So ask those people, like, have mentors, you know, like, those people will, like, hey, it was uncomfortable at first, but now I love the burn, man. I love the pump. It feels so good. And it's funny, dude, like at first it doesn't feel good. Like, for example, working out didn't feel good at first, and then like eating healthy, eating salads, eating kale, that tastes so bad at first.
So bad at first,
like, dude, I kept putting it into my body. I kept like eating it. And then you know what? Like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the burn. And then eventually, it's weird, dude. That's just like, I don't know what happens in my brain, but all of a sudden I began to fall in love with the kale, eating the kale, or like the burn, dude. It feels so good. The burn feels so good, man. Maybe because subconsciously, I'm realizing that, hey, this is like, feels good, like it's taking me closer, like it's getting me fitter. So like,
great. I think that's
begins to appreciate it.
I think that's a great analogy. The short-term pain for the long-term pleasure. I think that's great. In positive psychology, we talk about this idea of hedonic happiness, which is like the pleasure, the instant pleasure, the instant kind of the feel-good chemicals that we get from just doing things that instantly get us to feel good, like sex, drugs, or kind of instantaneous boosts of happiness. So like doing something you love, reading. And then there's eudaimonic happiness, which is like your long-term goals, like you've gotten where you want to get to, and that feeling of like family and like knowing that you want to create something, and like that feeling of fulfillment, that you actually fulfilled something. So there's like kind of two different kinds of happiness that we feel, and one is more short-term, like a short-term burst, and one is a long-term, like you see the journey, you know. And I think, I definitely resonate more with the journey rather than the instantaneous bursts. I mean, I used to start out by just being like, I'm just going to go for the instantaneous pleasure. But after a while, once you start reminding yourself, and you're right, like we have to condition our brains, and the more we do something, the more it becomes a part of our neurobiology, like our brain chemistry starts to change, you know, and we start to feel better. As we remind ourselves of the long-term benefits that we're going to have, and asking the right mentors can really move us towards the right direction.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Why reinvent the wheel when somebody already made it? Basically.
Yeah, and
unless you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so interesting that, like, in neuro-linguistic programming, that you're asked to kind of... Yeah, when you're kind of asked to model someone, like, there's a blueprint set out to you, and if you start doing the things that successful people do, there's no question as to... Of course, you have to define success for yourself, and, like, where do you really want to get to? And how do you define that? However, once you kind of know where you want to get to, and you see the kind of characteristics, the mannerisms, the habits that the people you want to be like possess, then it kind of brings it all together in a way. Really important to recognize is seeing where you came from, like seeing where you started, and how.
Oh yeah, that's big. I don't know if you heard, but Owen Tyler from RSC, he talks about that, man. He knows who's gonna be successful at pickup when he does his coaching.
Yeah.
Like he knows that the people that get so excited about their first approach are more likely to do way better than the people that are dwelling upon like, oh, I didn't close. Like they know that the guy like cheering himself up, he's gonna do way better.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
And it's like everything that you do, it's like it's always awesome. Like it's like even if it went horribly, like it's awesome. Like it's just that reconditioning again. You're seeing it over and over again. It's just like it's changing what your default is, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's making you more aware.
Yeah,
pay more attention.
And it's like and it's not to like say that like you're smiling or laughing to fake anything or to like escape anything, because when we're not feeling good, it's also important to be aware of how we're feeling. We can take something really bad, we see the obstacle, but if you don't see it as an obstacle, if you see it as a gateway, you know, it's more of like a path rather than like a dead end, then it can really change the way you perceive things and the results that you get. Yeah.
Wow. I like that analogy, man. I think there's two cliffs. And
Yeah.
you build a bridge over it.
Build a bridge over it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, over time, you're like kind of bringing the bridge closer, you know? So it's like not so far apart. Like the cliffs are gonna maybe move too closer, and so it's just one cliff, you know?
Yeah, we'll think of a better analogy.
Yeah. I don't know how that exactly works, but
I
you kind of see what I'm saying. It's like bridging the gap between who you are and where you want to get to. Just completely, you're all-encompassing. So how you're acting with your teachers, you're also acting like that with your friends. You're also acting like that with your relatives. You're just completely, you're free. Your freedom from outcome is essentially what I'm saying. What are some techniques that you use to like combat fear if you're feeling that fear emerge?
Oh, I don't combat it, bro. I'm just
You're just like, yeah, it's there.
I focus on my anus, dude. If it's clenching.
Right, okay.
Dude, once I release it, it's like, okay, I'm ready. How does say it? Like I'm opening up. I'm ready for.
Yeah.
I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to receive, basically.
Yeah.
And then once I do that, it's like I experience the fear, but I do it despite of that, because there's a difference between experiencing fear and then being afraid of that, or experiencing fear and then there's two ways. It's like a fork on the road. The fear can either become more fear or courage. So I prefer going to courage.
Yeah. And I think the thing for me is it's important to recognize that like fear and excitement are the same emotions. Like physiologically, they feel the same. It's the adrenaline, kind of the feeling that something is happening is going to emerge. So it's like you have to make that choice whether you're going to be afraid of it or you're going to be excited by it. And I think we can always choose one and not the other. I think it's just a way of how we perceive situations. It's not so much the fear itself, it's like how we see the situation, and then it frightens us. And,
yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, if we see a situation and we're like, wow, and we use our own minds to terrify ourselves, then it's not going to be the most beneficial. But if we see the situation and we know, like, this is possible to overcome, or we have a more optimistic standpoint or attitude, then I mean the difference in the results are gonna rapidly shift. Like, I think when I first got interested in learning about body language and like power posing and like learning about like taking up more space, because like sometimes you have to, and you can't let other people like just tread over you sometimes, you know. You have to you can't let your guard down sometimes. You have to be alert. And like these things, and the more conscious I'm becoming, the more I'm realizing like I can let go if someone is like trying to like demean me or insult me. Like I don't need to let that even enter my reality. It's like, what, I feel like we're bringing up RSD so much, but I think that's so important because that's what both shaped us as influence makers. And so what Tyler says is he's like a triangle, right? And like all the negativity, all the hate, all the stuff that's not serving you is like a circle, so it can't enter your reality. So yeah, we talked about some interesting things. We talked about authenticity, how we can be more emotionally expressive. We talked about our own spiritual journeys and bliss bomb and permanent transformation and just accepting and really being with our emotions and clenching our anuses and really starting this health and improvement journey. And I hope that people listening to this is inspired to take some action. And so for people who want to reach you and talk to you more about this, do you want to leave a plug for some people, or like where can they reach you or contact you, dude?
You can reach me out. My go-to spot, I'm definitely venturing out, but my go-to spot is Snapchat.
Snapchat?
At J Tapster. J
Tapster.
Yeah, JTAPSTER.
J Tapster, got it. Awesome.
Mainly Snapchat.
And so you have like a lot of Snapchat stories and stuff, I'm guessing, every day.
Yeah.
Is it you're active on that platform right now?
Yeah, I love sharing my my health journey on Snap, and like I definitely throw in like some bliss bombs and stuff like that.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's cool. And so I always like to say at the end of the podcast, what are some words of wisdom, or what is something that you want to throw out into the audience, like a catchphrase or something, like a question, something interesting that makes the audience go, what?
Beautiful question, man. What I would say is, if I was being me, if I was being Jorge, what would I be doing right now?
Yeah.
That's it.
What would I be doing? I like that because you mentioned doing, and that's an active verb, right? And a lot of times in society, we just want to be passive and we want to sit back. And it's important to sit back and be the observer, but sometimes we just gotta take life by the driving wheel, by our own measure, and like having the self-reliance, right? So that's interesting that you said that. And I hope that people are inspired by this. I know a lot of people might not resonate with this content. That's okay too. Like we can be the most juiciest peaches, but someone will always prefer oranges. So so to the haters, thank you for tuning in anyway. And for the listeners, the ones who cherish and love the SUMELEVATE podcast, I encourage you to continue listening. And for the words of wisdom, it was nice having you on today, Jorge. And
thank you. Bring me on, bro.
And I think it was an incredible conversation. And I wish you a high vibrational day, homie.
I wish you the same, man. I like that.
All right, bro. Peace out.
Take care, brother.
Give me that. Boom. Boom. Give me that. Give me that.